I would go 11-7. I know as a former defenseman.
I hated it.
I know you hated it, but put it this way: Ekholm or Jeff Skinner. I go Ekholm, and I'm trying to get him because if you believe you're going to win this series, you need Ekholm firing on all cylinders for the Florida Panthers. So that's really because Ekholm is timing. Like Rhett, you speak to it. I get it. He's a special player. He's a good player, but in the end, he hasn't played a lot, especially down the stretch. So your timing. This guy's not jumping on a moving train in February or in March. He's jumping on a moving train in June. And like I say, give him I wouldn't call him a free game because I think Dallas has a chance to get back in this series. But in the end, I think it's, it's more about like giving him an opportunity. It's not going to be 5 minutes. It might be 12 instead of 15 or 17. That's the only difference. And again, you don't get to control last change on the road in game 5. So I don't know what Skinner brings to the table other than
speed.
Yeah, but he's not speedy anymore.
Being a smart ass.
He's been out since April 11th, to your point, Noodles. So we're talking like a month and a half.
And he's a veteran. Put him in and let him play.
No, who are we talking?
The thing is Ekholm's a 1 or he's a 2, we'll call it, behind Bouchard or with Bouchard. Do you put him right back in at 22 minutes? So now all of a sudden you're jamming Bouchard up or whoever plays with Bouchard. Like, to me, it's finding.
No, I don't. I don't watch the Oilers because I hate them. Who's their 5-6?
It's Stetcher right now and
together, and then be Emberson and Wallman.
Well, I'd kick Stetcher's ass out of the lineup and let Ekholm play, and whatever minutes he gets. He's played the game forever. He missed a month and a half. He doesn't need to.
But you've got the Hyman spot to fill.
So what I'm saying is, right now,
you put
Nurse and
Stetcher's out. Skinner, who I don't care if it's Skinner. Put the kid in. Savoy, he said, I'm not pulled for Skinner.
That's the other thing.
I'm just being a selfish team trying to argue. Quit arguing.
Savoy's not an NHL player right now. And you know what? In Dallas, last change, Dallas does play a heavier game. I think I would much rather – you heard last night, or you didn't hear, but I heard Knobloch talking about it. By the end of the second period, Draisaitl had played 11 minutes, just over 11 minutes. So he told him after the second period, I'm doubling you up. So what you're going to do, you're trying to have a dagger of a game. So you find more ice time for 11 guys as opposed to just throwing in the token guy, Jeff Skinner, and finding 8 to 11 minutes for him. I'd rather give those 8 to 11 minutes to RNH, to McDavid, to Draisaitl, to Kane, to guys who are going to play at the top of the roster instead of going, hey, Jeff Skinner, this isn't a charity case.
You're going to roll 3 lines, and what the hell difference does it make?
I guess my point is you roll 3.5 lines, and you find an extra shift or 2 for McDavid, Draisaitl, RNH, Kane, and you also can get Ekholm. This isn't a free game, but it's a free, it's bleeding him into the lineup instead of going feast or famine, go sink or swim on the road. And if you get trapped out in the second period on a long change and a 2.5-minute shift, it might kill you, and you might not recover in that game. And keep in mind, I don't know what the nature of the injury was. I believe people said it's the back or, groin or some mid body injury. This guy's not throwing the body around. Like, I'm more worried about that. Like, he's a big physical guy. Is he going to be able to handle the physical rigors? And Rhett, you could speak to it. I didn't play D.
Yeah, but here's the question. I'm arguing just to argue.
Right.
But
it's actually my job here.
That's your job. Sorry. If he's injured and he comes back and he can't handle the physicality of it, it's not whether he plays 5 minutes or 10 minutes that's going to determine that.
It's a good point.
Right? Like, you're either hurt and you can't handle it, or you can.
Yeah,
it's 5 or 8 minutes or 10 minutes that makes the difference.
I guess
timing, your speed. Some of us coached in the NHL and some of us didn't because they got blacklisted and they hung out with these 2 losers. And some of us had a career and actually did the job. So we should probably.
Well, no, but what I guess my thought process too, Rhett, my thought process, sorry. My thought process is more about, I was thinking Brett Kulak. This isn't a free game for him, but I'd much rather get Ekholm into game action and not
Skinner.
and not hurt, not hurt the integrity of what they have going on in the back end. Keep in mind, Stetcher's played very well with Nurse. And, Kulak's played well with Bouchard. Wallman's played well. Like you look at this group as a six-pack, they've done the job. And they haven't just done the job. Like this Klingberg looks like the Klingberg from Dallas years ago.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But I don't want to upset the apple cart. So, to your point, if you believe that six is just doing the job, then keep Ekholm out another game. But I'd much rather have him, his first game being game 5, than 6 or 7, if it's necessary. That's my biggest thing for Ekholm.
So let's look at the forward group. You now have seen Podkolzin, Arvidsson, Kapanen, guys that have been in the stands or in the rafters watching, playing. The loss of Hyman, what does that do to how much you like them moving forward?
Well, it's a massive blow. I mean, I look at Florida without Sam Reinhart. There's a guy who scored 50. I know Hyman's more of a 35 guy, but a top-tier guy who's been the most physical guy in the playoffs. Scott, he had 2 hits in 3 minutes yesterday before he got hurt.
He almost had matched his season high for a regular season in this playoffs.
Right.
You're
right. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think you replace him. What you do is you give a different look, because you're not going to go Corey Perry. You go play like Zack Hyman. He can't skate like him. He's not going to get in on the forecheck. Now, Perry's a crafty player. What what I'd like to see do is a guy like Kapanen, who has all of the tools to do it. He's just wildly inconsistent, and I don't think he has the toolbox. I don't think he thinks the game at a high rate like Zack Hyman does. But if he's a programmable player, I think it's amazing. Knobloch has really been able to kind of find things, and his in-game adjustments or his hunches on players have been great so far. Arvidsson comes out, Kapanen goes in. It's like, need a little bit more speed and physicality there. All of a sudden, Kapanen finds the game-winning goal
overtime
against Vegas. But keep in mind, it was Draisaitl who wasn't playing his best hockey, and it's like you're going to play with Kapanen and Podkolzin, 2 straight-line guys who aren't overly skilled, although Kapanen, I think, has skill. I think Podkolzin's a hard-working, heavy player, but it's like you go out and play a shutdown role, Draisaitl. And Draisaitl, to his credit, has been up for these challenges, because it's not about winning a Hart or a Rocket. No, these guys have done all that. It's about winning. And Draisaitl, I think, has been able to, regardless of who you put with him, he makes them good. So that's where I think if you go 11, you can start the blender going and go, as long as you have a combination of 2 guys that you're really comfortable with, you can throw a third out there. So whether it's Skinner or it's, Podkolzin or it's you name it, Kapanen, they've been producing. I think Hyman's a massive blow, but so was Connor Brown. Connor Brown was playing really well for them. Now it sounds like Brown would probably be available game 6 or 7, depending on if it's a calendar week for a concussion and how the protocol, all of that is for him. But, this is a massive blow. You're not replacing Hyman. What you're doing is throwing a different look at it. And they are lucky that they do have some depth there, because Corey Perry has really seamlessly transitioned to their power play into that net front backdoor option for them. We saw it last night. RNH passed it to him.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.